Art Deco did not emerge in a vacuum. It was the design response to a specific historical moment, the years immediately following the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, when a world that had spent years in fear and austerity collectively decided that beauty was not a luxury to be deferred, but a necessity to be pursued with deliberate, almost defiant intention. The parallels with 2026 are not subtle. A world emerging from years of disruption and uncertainty. A generation that has spent significant time inside small spaces and has developed, in response, a heightened awareness of how those spaces feel to inhabit. A cultural moment in which the disposable and the synthetic have been so thoroughly produced and consumed that the handmade, the durable, and the genuinely beautiful have acquired a value they have not carried in decades. Art Deco was the original answer to this specific set of conditions. Glamour as optimism, craft as resistance, geometry as the imposition of order on a world that had recently felt profoundly disordered. It is not surprising that 2026 is returning to it. It is the only design movement in the last century that was built specifically for this moment. The geometric pattern is the most immediate visual signature of Art Deco and the element most likely to be misused in a contemporary interior. Applied without restraint, it overwhelms. Applied without conviction, it disappears. Applied correctly, with precision, with purpose, and with an understanding of where in the room geometry earns its authority, it does something that no other decorative element can do. It makes the space feel considered all the way down to its smallest detail. In a contemporary apartment, geometric pattern works best when it is used in one dominant application rather than distributed across multiple surfaces competing for attention. A single floor and herringbone or chevron that defines the entire visual character of the room. One wall with an Art Deco geometric wallpaper that becomes the room's anchor rather than its accent. A single geometric rug that organizes the seating area with mathematical precision. The pattern does not need to be everywhere to be felt everywhere. And a room where geometry is fully committed to in one place is always more compelling than one where it is tentatively present in several. Art Deco established a material vocabulary in the 1920s that has never been fully displaced from the canon of luxury interior design, and with good reason. Each of the four defining materials of the movement was chosen not for its cost or its exclusivity, but for a specific visual and tactile quality that no substitute has ever fully replicated. Brass, warm, slightly imperfect in its reflectivity, aging into a depth and character that chrome and gold plate never achieve, brings a quality of light into a room that catches and releases the eye rather than simply reflecting it. Marble, cool, heavy, veined with patterns that are genuinely unrepeatable because they are the result of geological processes rather than manufacturing decisions, introduces a sense of permanence and natural complexity that no engineered stone surface can match. Velvet, the fabric of Art Deco upholstery, chosen for the way its pile catches light from different angles and creates colors that shift as you move around the room, adds a depth of tone to seating that no flat weave textile can approach. And lacquer, high gloss, deep color, reflective without being transparent, brings a quality of precision and intentionality to furniture surfaces that has remained associated with luxury for 300 years. The reason is that Art Deco lighting was designed around a principle that most contemporary lighting design has lost entirely. That a light fixture is a sculpture first and a light source second, and that the quality of light it produces should be considered inseparable from the quality of the object that produces it. the stepped brass torchère that throws light upward to be reflected from the ceiling rather than shining it directly into the room. The geometric pendant in smoked glass and aged brass that creates drama through the shadow it casts as much as through the light it gives. The wall sconce in frosted glass that diffuses light into a warm, directional glow rather than dispersing it uniformly. In a contemporary apartment, one genuinely considered Art Deco-inspired light fixture, a single piece chosen with the same seriousness as a work of art, will do more for the atmosphere and character of the space than any other single investment available. The Art Deco palette is built on color combinations that are simultaneously rich and precise. Never muddy, never tentative, never arrived at by softening something bolder until it becomes inoffensive. Deep emerald green beside aged gold. Midnight navy against cream and brass. Rich burgundy with black lacquer and warm amber. The specific black and gold combination that has never, across 100 years, stopped communicating both luxury and modernity simultaneously. These combinations work because Art Deco understood something about color that the neutral formula has spent decades forgetting. That color used with conviction communicates confidence, and confidence, in design as in everything else, is inherently compelling. The deep emerald wall does not need to be justified or contextualized. It simply needs to be the color that was genuinely wanted, applied with the precision and completeness that Art Deco always demanded of every decision made in a space. Art Deco furniture sits at the precise intersection of two qualities that most furniture design is forced to choose between: geometric precision and genuine physical comfort. The movement understood, perhaps more completely than any other design period, that a chair could have the mathematical clarity of a Mondrian composition and still be the most comfortable seat in the room, and that the two ambitions were not in tension but in productive dialogue. The characteristic Art Deco furniture silhouette, the stepped profile, the curved front with geometric detailing, the use of contrasting materials in the same piece, translates directly into a contemporary apartment without requiring period reproduction. A contemporary sofa with a clean geometric profile and deep velvet upholstery in a jewel tone. A side table in brass and marble with the stepped profile that is the most immediately recognizable Art Deco form. A bed frame with a geometric headboard in dark lacquered wood that references the movement without replicating any specific historical piece. The most common failure mode in Art Deco-inspired interiors is the period room, the space that has been so thoroughly committed to a historical aesthetic that it feels like a film set rather than a home, interesting to look at but impossible to imagine actually living in. Avoiding this requires a specific approach to layering that takes from Art Deco what is genuinely useful in 2026 and leaves behind what belongs only to its historical moment. The principle is contemporary foundation, Art Deco accent. The structural elements of the room, the walls, the floors, the primary furniture pieces, remain contemporary in their references, clean in their lines, free of the decorative elaboration that dates the period most obviously. Against this contemporary foundation, Art Deco elements are introduced with precision. One geometric pattern, one material from the movement's palette, one lighting piece of genuine Art Deco character, one color combination that could only come from the movement's specific sensibility. The Art Deco bedroom is where the movement's central conviction, that beauty is not a luxury to be earned but a necessity to be insisted upon, is most completely expressed. Because the bedroom is the room where the argument for beauty is hardest to make and most important to win. No one needs glamour to sleep. And yet the bedroom that has it produces a quality of rest that the bedroom without it, however practical and however comfortable, simply does not. A bed frame with a geometric headboard in deep lacquered walnut or ebony-stained wood, tall enough to be the architectural statement the room needs and wide enough to feel genuinely generous. Bedding in deep silk or high thread count cotton in a color from the Art Deco palette, deep navy, rich burgundy, the specific ivory of aged cream, rather than the default white that most contemporary bedrooms have settled for without asking whether they actually wanted it. Two wall sconces in brass and frosted glass at reading height, their geometric forms complementing the headboard above them, and one significant object on each side, a single brass lamp, a marble tray, a geometric ceramic, chosen not to complete a bedside styling composition, but because it belongs in this specific room and nowhere else. Every design movement has its moment. The specific convergence of historical conditions, cultural appetite, and material possibility that makes one set of aesthetic values feel not just relevant but necessary. Art Deco had its moment in the 1920s, born from the wreckage of one world war and the anxious optimism of the years before another, insisting on beauty and craft and geometric precision as answers to a world that had recently demonstrated its capacity for chaos and loss. Art Deco belongs to 2026 not because nostalgia is fashionable, but because the values it was built on, glamour as optimism, craft as resistance, geometry as order, beauty as necessity, are the values that this specific moment most urgently needs. The 1920s understood something about surviving difficult times through deliberate, defiant beauty that 2026 is only beginning to rediscover. Glamour as optimism, craft as resistance, geometry as order, beauty as necessity. These are not 1920s values. They are the values this specific moment most urgently needs. Subscribe for a new interior video every week. And tell me in the comments, which Art Deco element are you bringing into your home first? And which one surprised you most as something you actually wanted?